Welcome back, everybody. So here I'm going to give you a tutorial, an amazing tutorial on how to install Nextcloud on Windows using our Docker desktop, obviously. And I'm going to show you a new utility that's great Google Photos alternative. I've used this for months, and I finally got hardware acceleration working on Windows with NVIDIA GPUs. So that'll give you great video streaming from outside your network, and it's going to be a great Google alternative. So let's get started. First, you're going to need a couple things. So to make these kind of work, we're going to need four different files inside our actual directory. I'm going to list them in my GitHub wiki, which I will list obviously right here. It's going to be on this web page, but for right now, I'm going to show you on my local hard drive because I have not made that GitHub yet. It will be live. That'll be before or shortly after I post it. So first, we're going to go into my C drive. This is where I keep all of my self-hosted tools. It's obviously C tools. And we're going to go into our, let's see, where is it? Nextcloud directory. Now, if you don't have a directory made in here, just right-click and click New Folder. And we're going to call it Nextcloud. I've already done this, but I'm going to do it again for you guys just to show you I have a new one. So I'm just going to go into here, and I'm going to grab these three files. So you can need a Docker Compose, Dockerfile, supervisord.conf, and nextcloud.ini. You will only need to have these three files to get started if you would like to use the memories plugin with HWA. Otherwise, using just the Compose should work just fine. So I'm going to make a new directory. I'm going to call it Nextcloud YouTube, just because that's mine. You can just name it Nextcloud just because I have multiple ones in here. I'm going to paste these two things in here, and we're going to go over the Compose first. So let me get that loaded up for you guys. Give me 1 second. So I already have the Docker Compose on this browser. So what I'm going to show you is this is in my GitHub wiki. It's going to be under Docker Compose examples, and you're going to see Nextcloud right here. So let's just go over a couple of things with this. So first off, we have our MariaDB, which is going to be hosting our web URL. So it's going to be hosting like our SQL backend. So all of our databases will be run in this container. So we obviously have our service, and then our DB is in a separate container. And this will have, you want to change MySQL root password, MySQL password, and then if you want to change the database to something else, you can, but I just recommend keeping it stock. It's really easy. It doesn't really matter. These two, though, do matter, so make sure you set them to something secure. Next, we have the app. This is going to have all of our containers. This is our Nextcloud-based container. So this is the container where Nextcloud is going to run. We're also going to have Nextcloud in the latest branch, which is at the time of recording, 28.00. The ports, which is 8989. You can obviously change this to whatever you want. Do not change the second port. That's going to be the port that Nextcloud is going to use for HTTP. Only change the first one. So I know someone else could have used that. You can use 9001, 9111. You can change to anything you want. Just note that only change this one. Do not change the second one. And then this is also, so like let's say I go on localhost 8989, as mine shows right now. See, that's going to take me to this port. And obviously, it's going to take me to my Nextcloud to install. Not right now because mine's through a reverse proxy currently, and this is not accessible. But on your example, when you first load it up, you're going to use the 8989 port. This is going to be where your data is going to be stored and your files. So basically, keep these two volumes the same. So if I want all my pictures to be stored under my J drive, obviously I have as you can see, the Nextcloud is the folder, and I have all my files in here. And that is for my var www.html. That's what this Nextcloud directory is. I also have my data in here. So data, then when it's the data is where your photos are going to be stored. That would be under data. So here's the data directory, and here's all my folders. So you can obviously change the data to somewhere else if you would like to store your native files in somewhere different, like I don't know, like my T drive. I have my T drive. If that's my TrueNAS, but it's a nice SCSI. So you can run a folder in there, but basically just make sure wherever you're storing it, store it somewhere where you're going to have enough room to store all your photos and videos, or files, or whatever you're going to store on there. Next, we have our environment. This is where it's important. The MySQL password is going to be from up here. So see where it says MySQL root password? We're going to use this MySQL password, the second one. to replace in this. Um, oh no, I'm sorry. This is the database password. Yeah, so this password is going to go right here. Best keep these two the same. You don't have to, but it's best. So we're just going to name this and this the same, but just keep them all three the same just to be safe. And the host is going to be obviously DB and MySQL user and database is nextcloud. As you can see, database is nextcloud and user is nextcloud. So now this is the important part. So this is the GoVOD. This is what's going to be used to hardware transcode your media. So if you don't want to use HWA with a NVIDIA GPU, I don't personally have a VAPI GPU to do it. But if you'd like to, you can. This is going to be only for NVIDIA. I can supply documentation, or if you join our Discord and pop in there, I can definitely help you out with that. But GoVOD is the container we use. The image is going to be right here. Obviously, it's for GoVOD. And this is important. So we're going to depends on app, which is our app up here, which is the Nextcloud container. It's named app. So obviously we want to allow it to depends on the Nextcloud container called app. And we can leave these two. If you have an NVIDIA GPU and you're using NVENC, you can leave these two quoted out. So don't remove this if you have an NVIDIA GPU. Then we're going to give our Nextcloud host. So if this is on a reverse proxy, you just use, domain nextcloud.domain.com, whatever your domain is. Let's say mine is devil's demonwarriortech.com. So I would make nextcloud.demonwarriortech.com. And then you want to allow insecure one because we're obviously in self-signed certs. So that's important. And then we have volume. So this is where we allow it to read the volume. So if this is not enabled, these two, you will not be able to have it read your specific. It won't be able to read the files for GoVOD. So GoVOD needs these to be added from up here to be able to read and transcode the files. And lastly, your NVIDIA deploy. This is going to be your Docker for NVIDIA hardware encoding. If you have a Jellyfin server, you'll probably know this very well. If you run it on Docker, this is all going to be needed. Okay, so now that this is all done and we've gone over a little bit of that, let's start editing our compose, and then we'll go from there. So give me 1 sec. I'll be right back with that. Okay, so now that we have our host, I'm going to change a couple things in here. So I'm going to name this. I have here I have MariaDB. I have my DB set. This is going to be deleted afterwards, so I don't have to worry about security. Password 123 question mark. Password 123 question mark. My database is nextcloud UYT. My SQL user is nextcloud YT. And mirrored over here is the same environment, nextcloud YT, nextcloud YT, password 123. And our data directory for all of our photos and our nextcloud YouTube.
So something I didn't let you guys know about that I didn't realize until after I did was I had two installs. I had a Windows 11 on my Docker that was running my current Docker, and I had another one that when I tried to run it in my Compose, I actually had the wrong settings. So I need to make a new folder in my Compose to link to a different directory, because if you have two Docker Composes with two Docker DBs in one directory, it actually won't allow your thing to work. So what I do is I had to go into my Compose, I had to change under MariaDB add a different directory. So instead of Nextcloud, it'd be in that DB, change it to be Nextcloud DB or Nextcloud YouTube /DB, and that seemed to make it work after that. So having a lot of issues getting that working before, but now that I've done that, it should be all set to go. So now you'll see in a couple minutes, it'll load back up and start running, and we'll go from there. And I'll walk you guys through the setup.
Okay, so I'm going to link this now as a little tidbit because I'm sure I already messed up and told you the wrong thing on accident. So when you're running your original image, you need to do your image as Nextcloud and Apache. You can't run your custom image from your Docker file until after you run the Nextcloud Apache image, or else it won't work on initial install. So see how my initial install went through just fine? It's because you need to run the Nextcloud Apache image, then you can run the modified Docker Apache image once you've installed the direct apps.
Okay, so now we're going to load our directory. So we see it loads our localhost 9111. We're going to make our user demonwaretech, make our password password123, as you can see in just a moment. And there's, oh wait, let's change that. Oh, sorry, demonwaretech123 is our password. And we're going to storage and change our database to data, so it pulls it from the data directory. We're going to make our DB the same as in our Docker Compose, which if we go back, see that's our data directory. So that's going to load our files to there. We're going to set our database user as nextcloud.ini, all lowercase because we obviously cannot do uppercase. Our password is going to be what we set in that compose, so it's going to be password123 with a capital P, as you can see here. And we're just going to copy and paste Nextcloud for the database username. As you see here, database username is right there. And our database password is right there. We can copy and paste that. And there we go. And if we, same database name, and we're going to name it DB3306 because that is our compose name. It is DB3306 because 3306 is the port for MariaDB. And obviously our services is listed under DB. And we have it linked inside the Nextcloud app so it can talk to that other container. So DB:3306. Click install. Now we'll let that install. It'll take a hot second to load up, and once it's done, we should be at our screen. And you can check if the install is done by obviously going into the Nextcloud app or the Nextcloud directory on your J drive, like it's mine. I have mine J Nextcloud. We can see it's there. Also, we need to disable GoVid when we're running this because if we don't, it'll try to pull the GoVid information from there, and that is also not a good thing to do. We can't do that until we install the Memories app, which we need to load into the first install to do that. Along with when we run our Apache Nextcloud, we have to run our customized Dockerfile once we get to that point. So again, we're going to let this install, and I'll come back to you guys when we're done.
Okay, so as you can see, it's working now. If I figure out the problem, actually, we're using this time, I'll leave the description, but basically we use it running our code, it's gonna get themselves. So as you can see, we are running Nextcloud inside Windows, inside Docker. We are on localhost 911, and I'm sorry, 9111. And now we're gonna go into here, and we're going to go into administrative apps, and we're gonna check our make sure this is in. Okay. So we're gonna set our domain now. So to do this, we're gonna go into our Nextcloud YouTube. Our Nextcloud YT, where our data is. We're going to go into the config. We're going to go to, config.php, and we're going to add 3 lines, at least 2 lines to this on top of what's already there. So we should have 3 lines. So we're going to copy and paste these 3 times, and we're going to list our domain, this is going to be our domain. We're going to name it memories.devilsdesigns.net. And we're going to name this 3, 2, 1, 2, because this is already 0. We're going to name this our local IP, which, for example, for us is 192.168.0.111. You can figure this out by going here, type in IP config, and you scroll up to your LAN port or whatever your Wi-Fi port is, and this is mine. Once that's done, I'm going to add one more thing after this, but if you have a VPS, if you follow my other tutorial on using Oracle VPS, you're going to need to link that VPS in here as allowed. So we'll do that real quick. Let me just make this copied again. And we're going to name this 3. And we're going to put our VPS IP in here. I'm not going to do that right now. I will do it later. And we need to add 2 more bits of pieces to this. So these are going to be our forwarders. So trusted proxy is going to be localhost, obviously. This is needed to allow the proxy to proxy from this to this so we can run our domain on a HTTPS from HTTP headers. And we need to forward the headers. So we need to do HTTPX forwarder for, and that will run the header as HTTPS instead of HTTP. So that we can click Control S and close out of that. Now, as you can see, we have 3 errors here. All this is just, you don't need to worry about any of that. What we are going to worry about is now Docker compose down and we can just Docker compose up -- forestry create remove orphans. This will just restart the Docker command and the containers, as you can see. And once that's running, we should be able to do this and load it. There we go. So now that our Nextcloud has been reverse proxy correctly, we allow the correct permissions. We just log in and type in our password. Shit, what did I make the password? Let's see. Okay, now that we're in, we want to do 2 things. So we want to go to apps and we want to install our memories app. So we're going to go into apps and we're going to go into, we need to enable a couple things. So one thing I did with mine is I allow group shares so I can have a share of users, like family members in a different group. So I'll just show you how I set up mine. You can obviously skip this step if you don't want to, but it's just a good thing, I think, to do. So if we want to install an app, we just need to click on search and we're going to first install memories, which is right here. And if you're on the latest version, 28, you need to click allow untested because again, they haven't updated it to the latest build, but it still works nonetheless and the same as it would with anything else. Once that's done, we need to install, I install groups. So group folders. So I can allow different users in a group like family to access certain folder media directories in my memories. But again, you don't have to do this. This is just a preference for me because it's something I recommend. Again, you don't have to do it. And once that's done, we can install, we're going to install one more thing, which is recognize. This is for facial recognition. You can do that because when we run that Docker custom Dockerfile in a minute, it's going to do that for us, and it's going to facial recognize. So we're going to do that real quick. I think we need one more. Let me check what the other one is. Hold on 1 second. Oh, once you allow untested, you're going to actually need to install it. So if you click on memories, you're going to need to download and enable them, just so you know for reference. You can check to see if it's installing through here. It should tell us it's installing or it's running. So it's a good thing to look at. As you can see, it's running the OCC commands. It should be running now. All right, so now that memories is enabled, we can go back into dashboard settings, administrative settings, and now we can start enabling stuff in memories. So as you can see, there's a couple things that aren't installed by default. So I will show you that right now. You can see we have these EXIF binary exists. which is good. We don't need the pearls installed because binary, the XF is running. This is going to index all our media. Our FFmpeg is not running, and that is again because of, find it, that Docker file. This one we have to run to get FFmpeg working, and we have to run it to get FFmpeg probe. This again will give you access to the preview binary, meaning you can preview photos ahead of time. And our GoVid has also not been enabled yet. So to enable this, we need to run two things. We need to get our Docker file, which is this one, create a custom Docker build by running this command. And then we also need to go into here, into our Docker Compose, and we need to remove, now we can add the GoVid commands. So we're just going to remove these. Actually, we want to leave these in. If you're running NVENC or an NVIDIA card, let's make sure that's disabled. Or this is still disabled because these two are for VAPI. We don't have VAPI, we have an NVENC card. And we'll allow to those media directories that we showed earlier. I'm just enable this to allow HWA encoding. So for example, let me save this. Okay, so for example, if I try to encode something like, so I just uploaded my intro from my YouTube. So if I go into this and I try to play it now, as you can see, there's no preview. I go to memories. Actually, I don't want to set that up yet. I just want to show that for example. So we're going to set memories. So we're going to click here to start. Click here to start. And then we're going to set it to just our, you can either set it to your root if you want to find everything or a certain directory. I'm just going to set it to the root because I want everything to pull up in here. And you can click continue memories. And if you want to select a certain folder, let's say folders, I've got a family memories. And you see I have one YouTube video, as obviously it won't show a preview. This is my intro I just uploaded. Click on it. It'll play just fine, but you don't have any encoding. Click here, show encoding, but there is none. So, for example, if I go into here now and I see that's not running encoding through our GPU, now that we edited our Nextcloud for encoding, we click Control S, and we have the GPU enabled now. So now we just rebuild it. So we're going to click on Docker Compose Up -D force recreate remove orphans, and now that that's done, it's going to reload it back up, and we'll double click F5, and let's see what it does. All right, see now we have HWA working, so we can click on this. We have GoVid. Let's make sure the GoVid and GoVid's right here, the YouTube GoVid. So, oh wait, hold on, we didn't set. Should be fine. Okay, so see now we have this set. We need to change this part of the GoVid. So we need to change this to um, uh, go. Shit. Go. Oh, we got enable transcoding first on the top where it says video stream enable. Enable external transcoder, and we're gonna name this to go VOD. That's the name, right? Go VOD dash 4788. 47788. And now that's done. Now if we click down here, now you see GoVid binary exists. So now we have HWA encoding. Next, you need to enable NVENC and temporal AQ. And if you have slower internet connection, I would recommend doing this, having issues with video playback, enabling that to force keyframes. And since I have a little bit slower bandwidth, I'm at about 25 megabits upload. So if you have a slower upload, I would recommend setting this higher. I set mine to 42. That seemed to get it good and ready and working. We can see now if I go into the player, I have 5 in it, and I reload it, we will have this now. There's this quality. I can change the quality. And it's gonna, the quality may be faster than how good your uh, your internet is. So if I set it down more, like if you're playing home movies, I recommend setting it to maybe like starting at 40 and seeing how it rolls. So let's just do 37 just to be safe. I'll show you 37. So we'll just click on that. If we refresh it again, it'll change the quality to be a little bit better. But again, remember, your quality is going to depend on and the more you go down, the better it is. Now, I have a lot of home movies that I do in like 4K that I record on my phone. So when I upload it, it's high quality HEVC and HEIC. So I set mine to 42 because they're pretty big files. Like some of them are upwards in gigs. But you can change this as you please. I recommend starting at 40 and then going lower and lower and lower until you find the right set that works for you. So once that's done, we're going to go to the next part. While those are installing, I'll show you how to add users. So if you click on your username as a admin and you go to users, I'll show you how to make a user group. So we're going to click on add a group. I'm going to name it family. And we got to put our password. So we'll do that real quick. And now if we click new user, we'll just name it like dad. Name dad. Password, we'll just make it password 123. Or we'll just name it memories, devils, designs. We'll name it memories, demon warrior, tech. Making the email alone. It's part of the family group, and we'll just let me do that. Click on add new user. Copy this. Let's say we want to make another user called mom. And I give them the same password just to show you can make different groups. And then the active users, which is our user, we just want to give that access to that user group. So we just click on family as groups. And we're just also give us admin rights to that family group. And now if we go to family group, we have 3 users. We have one, give us access. Oh wait, that's why. The next part is getting FFmpeg working and our binary working. So to do that, oh, one other thing. You also, if you're running a lot of home movies, you want to enable video, TIFF, HEIC, and images. That will give file support for the FFmpeg. Once that's done, we can start running our um, custom scripts. So now what we want to do is we want to run a inside here. We're going to do build Apache FFmpeg YT, and that's going to build our source from that Docker file that is in our thing. As you can see, now it's running correctly. So it's running the 2 of 20, and we'll let that run, and I'll come back when it's done. Okay, so now once it's all done, obviously we can see that it's finished. It took quite a long time. I would say about 12 to 15 minutes to run this directory. Now we need to change our settings in here to show that new repository, to show that new directory that we just made, that new repo. So we're going to go into here, into our compose, and we're going to change this. Instead of it being nextcloud Apache, it's going to be nextcloud-ffmpeg. Wait, hold on, what did I name it? Nextcloud, sorry, dash Apache dash ffmpeg dash YT, and click save. And now, if we run this, go into our this, and we run that doc compose up, force recreate. Now it'll be running that custom Docker file we created, Nextcloud Apache ffmpeg YT. So we'll check the repo and make sure it's running real quick. Go. Just give me one of these. Let's see. It did just create it, and it started it. So now if we go into here and we reload it, we should be able to see our ffmpeg. Okay. So now we can see that ffmpeg preview is working. Now, the last thing you need to do is find where ffmpeg path is for transcoding. So to do this, we can do one of two things. We can either go into our here or into our Docker container and go into our Nextcloud one, which is Nextcloud YT app, and we can, I'm sorry, right click it and click open in terminal and type where is ffmpeg. As you can see, here's our ffmpeg, user bin ffmpeg, and then we want we do where is ff probe, okay, and we go in here, we paste this, and we paste this one, user bin ff probe. This may be different for you, hence why I said do it yourself. To the where is command so you can figure out where it is. And ff probe is being seen now. COVID is being seen. The enabled streaming is good. So now that most of these are done, now we just need two more things. We need preview generator and recognize. So we're going to get those right now from the App Store. So we're just going to click on this, click on apps, and we need to find that. So we're going to find preview, and you can see here's preview generator. Click download and type in our password and confirm. Wait for that to install. And then we just need the recognize app. So we'll get that in a second. Okay. And now we need the recognize app, so we'll paste that recognize in and see what we can find. Yep. And enable recognize. And as that it's enabled, we'll wait for it to finish. Now if we F5 this, we'll see preview generator should be on. As you can see, previews are now working. Just waiting for recognize to finish installing and enabling. Might take a minute or two. We'll come back when it's done. All right, it's all done. Now if we go back in here, as you can see, recognize is installed. Refresh this and loading. Recognize. Oop, hold on, not able to. Oh, so to do that, now we need to go into recognize. So you go into the administrative page and you go into the app, and we're just gonna enable it. And we're gonna enable. And since we already have the machine supports TensorFlow, we'll just enable TensorFlow. and that's working. Wait, we don't need that. So lib flow was loaded successfully. Node.js was loaded successfully. Now to run this, we just click on. We gotta install cron job. So we'll go into our sys overview. I think it is, or basic. Double check this. Hold on 1 second. Okay, so see, now recognize is installed and automatically classifies files in the background. So now if we go into our memories and we go under, it should, I'm sorry, it should have a setting on here, people, and once you have photos, it'll show people here that are recognized through AI. So now we've successfully set up Nextcloud. We have memories working. We have all of our group folders. So this is basically going to set you up for success. Now, if you ever want to do anything else, as you can see, it's transcoding. Obviously, you can. So I hope you guys enjoyed my tutorial and you guys enjoy your new Nextcloud setup. If you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, please leave a comment in the description or join our Discord chat, which I'm more than willing to help you guys with any issues you may have going forward. If you guys enjoyed this and want to see more, please like, comment, rate, and subscribe. And guys, have a great rest of your day. Thanks.